Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2018 McLaren 600LT Coupé. Now this was unveiled in June 2018 and is based on the 570S. LT stands for long tail, and this is the third McLaren to receive such a treatment, and that basically means the body of the car has been extended by 2.9 inches, which helps in terms of style, but also provides extra aerodynamics. And those extra aerodynamic elements include extended front splitter and rear diffuser, new side sills, and an enhancing fixed rear wing for increased downforce. McLaren claims that 23% of the parts in this car are new to this car, and obviously then different from the 570S. And it also has a carbon fibre monocoque that is utilised in the 600LT and is modified over the 570S, and combines it with extensive use of carbon fibre in the roof, along with the contrails and the front fenders, resulting in a decreased weight of 2,994 pounds, which is slightly less than the 570S, as well as the 12C and the 650S, I think it is. And so it's lighter than those cars. And it's also got a lightweight titanium exhaust system, which helps in terms of the weight. And overall is a slightly improved version than the 570S, as well as in terms of power. Now granted, it's still got the same 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, but now it has 591 horsepower and 457 pounds-feet of torque, so that's 29 horsepower extra than the 570S, as well as 15 extra pounds-feet of torque. So combine that extra power and torque with the less weight, and you've got a faster car on your hands. And it's a better looking car as well. I do like the exhaust coming out of the rear end there at the top rather than the bottom, just like the 720S. And generally it is a decent looking car, but the power is no different to the 12C, though it does have 15 extra pounds-feet of torque and less in the way of weight. But you would have thought for a more modern car than the 12C, which is now 8 years old. 7 years old by the time this car came out, you would have thought it would have more power, but that's the kind of thing that is a problem with McLaren at the moment. They've got themselves into a bit of a rut, like the Porsche has with the Boxster and the Cayman. They can only make the cars so powerful that are below their top of the line one. So obviously the 650 is the most powerful version of this kind of car, but then you don't want to get it any more powerful than that, otherwise it will be outselling that, because this is inevitably going to be cheaper than that car. And then you certainly don't want this to be going quicker than the 720, because that is their the top tier hypercar of McLaren. So it could easily be better, and it should be better, and it would have been nice had it had more power to take advantage of that weight, because it's nearly as lightweight as a 720S, which again, like I said, is their hypercar and is their best car of the moment, quite frankly. And it would have been nice had this had a bit extra power, 20-30 extra horsepower, and this would have been a monster. But as it is, it's a slightly improved version of the 570S. But that's no bad thing, because that car is a decent car. It's a solid supercar, and certainly beats other cars in its class. But it's a car that clearly could be better as well, just like this could clearly be better. But like typical McLarens, it's got a really nice interior. It's far easier to use than other supercars in the same class, and everything's there that you could ever want. And it's got that nice Alicante material, which is obviously hard wearing as well. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So despite having obviously 23% new parts over the 570S, it does still feel remarkably similar to that car, as well as the 650 and the 12C. So it's not particularly original in terms of a car for McLaren, which is a bit of a shame. You're going to spend a lot of money on one of these things. You want it to feel special and you want it to feel unique, and it really just doesn't, because again, we've still got the same kind of engine as previous McLarens. Yes, it's more powerful than the 570S and more powerful in terms of torque than the 12C, but that's it. It still makes the same kind of noise, still has the same kind of power. There's not a big enough difference to really justify any extra cost or even buying this, quite frankly. I'd save a little bit of extra money and go for the more powerful 650 or save a lot more money and go for the superior and best McLaren that is, you know, mass produced in the form of the 720S, because yeah, this just feels like a tweaked 570 in all honesty, and that's, yeah, means that it just doesn't feel all that enjoyable to drive, because it just feels just like a engineer's kind of car. It's just been slightly fettled to make it slightly better. But that does not mean that it's a bad car to drive, because it is quite fun to drive. You can have a lot of fun with it, but you can also be serious with it, and it's got blistering acceleration, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, 0 to 106 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 203 miles an hour, which is still pretty damn good. But again, especially in terms of top speed, you got cars from McLaren that can do that already, and even the 12C could, I think, could even do more than that. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame really that this car has come out with a fairly good looking body. It's easily one of McLaren's better looking cars, though again it does look remarkably similar to the other ones, and certainly doesn't look as good as the 720. But yeah, they've come out with all of this hype behind it being a long tail and it being, you know, having new parts over the 570, and you know, being a brand new car in general, and it just does not feel like it whatsoever. And yeah, it's just not quite as exciting as other cars in its class. Sure, it's probably the better car, no doubt about that, but it just doesn't feel special enough or unique enough for really me to, you know, recommend getting it over anything else really. But you know, there are plenty of people out there that will enjoy this just because it's a supercar, because it can do more than 200 miles an hour and it's ludicrously quick. But yeah, there's more to it as far as I'm concerned in terms of what makes a car fun to drive than pure speed and acceleration. And yeah, this just doesn't seem to offer anything more than that. But yeah, it's still a good car, and it's certainly an improvement over the 570. But yeah, McLaren have done better, and they could clearly do better with this car. But due to their marketing at the moment and the way they've positioned several of their cars, it was never going to be as good as, you know, the likes of the 650 or the 720, because, you know, this is cheaper, so it's inevitably going to be not as powerful and not as quick. But I just couldn't ever really justify it to myself to buy a car like this, or put a lot of effort into learning how to drive it and the like, when it's clearly not as good as McLaren can do. Because we've seen how great that McLaren can do a car with the 720S, which is phenomenal, but this just doesn't quite cut it, quite frankly. I'd much prefer something from Aston Martin or Ferrari. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.